Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is Pet Platypus here, and today I'm not going to be giving you guys a review, but more of like a quote-unquote Christmas gift, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be my top 10 favorite anime/manga of all time. Currently, it could obviously change if I get into a new series and I think it's really, really good, or maybe one series I'm a certain length into it, and once I get farther, I'll like it more, and then they'll switch places. But, you know, for this year, for right now, this is my top 10. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, number 10, and right now on my list that I have in front of me, it's written as number 9, because I have a tie later on, but there's still 10 series total. Number 10/9, I guess, whatever. Fist of the North Star. Now, most people have heard of Fist of the North Star, I would imagine. It's pretty famous. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but I'm sure most people have heard of it. And if you've heard of it, you should check it out. Obviously, that goes without saying. Obviously, everything on this list are series that I absolutely love, so you should see them. Fist of the North Star is essentially, and if you have heard of the series, you might already know, it's kind of like a combination of Mad Max meets like Kung Fu, Enter the Dragon style martial arts. Bunch of buff dudes doing manly buff dude shit. I mean, you know, the martial art, Hokuto Shinken, the Fist of the North Star. You just fucking boom on someone's forehead, they're done, head explodes. And when I was getting into the series, I was thinking, okay, it's cool seeing him beat the shit out of thugs, but how is he going to, like, fight other people? Like, how are two people who have the same martial art going to fight each other? And then they do. Or two with two different martial arts fight each other, and it's fucking badass, and it's really epic. Extremely violent in both the manga and the anime. The anime tones it down, because, you know, animes usually have to do that, but it still has the head bursts. You know, it just kind of changes the colors or whatever. It's still there, though. It's not overly censored. They didn't neuter it or anything. But if I was to recommend one over the other, I'd probably say the manga. The anime definitely has aspects that are better than the manga, but early on, if you really want to get into the series, it's got to be the manga, because the first arc in the anime is stretched out to like 22 episodes when it was way less chapters, and they like move villains that come later forward to work under this other dude, and it's just really weird. And it's kind of repetitive because there's a lot of filler, but once you get past that, it starts following the manga more closely, still making additions that I think were for the better, some of them. But overall, I would say go with the manga for the original story by the original mangaka, author, whatever you want to call him. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but it is really cool. I mean, the main plot, to start things off, is Kenshiro, the main character, wants to find the woman he loves that was kidnapped by a dude he used to, you know, train with. And that's a very, 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 very generic storyline, but the series is from the 80s, and it has a really good payoff that you won't see coming, and from there it branches off and does a few other things. A lot of village rescues, which is a very big staple of, you know, shonen. You know, the main characters show up in a village, they have a problem, they fight the bad guys. It's been done really well in certain series, but I mean, this is really like, I don't even want to say like the pioneer, but it is definitely a series that does it very frequently. But you go in knowing it's from the 80s, you go in knowing it'll have some tropes and some cliches. It's really enjoyable, there's really good emotion, really good characters, but I can't talk about it all day, so I will move on to the next one. Okay, so number 8. Or 9, whatever. Number 8, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You knew JoJo's was going to be on this list. This is Pet Platypus's list. And I've always talked about JoJo. I've only seen parts 1, 2, and 3. Once part 3's anime completely concludes and we get past the second half, which I will be reviewing, by the way, when it premieres next month, I will delve into the manga from there, because I'm not even sure if they're going to go past part 3, because part 3 is like the most popular part. Like, they rushed through parts 1 and 2, then they got to part 3, and they were like, okay, let's up the animation, let's make the art style accurate, let's take our time and do the whole thing properly. I'm like, wow, you guys, biased much? So, yeah, I don't even know if they'll do anything past part 3 since it's like the most popular part, but hopefully they do. I really enjoy the animes. Yeah, animes, 2 of them. It's one anime, it's a second season, but it's about a totally different main character, so, you know. And if you, for those who don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does have multiple main characters. It follows, I think right now they're up to 8. They're up to 8 JoJos right now. They're all part of the same family, and it's just a new descendant, and it's really, really fucking good. Like, it's bizarre, it's wacky, it's gory. There's all kinds of music references that push copyright to the fucking limit. It's just so fun, though. There's fun characters, it's got good humor, it's got creative abilities and powers. Even the stands, which I thought were going to be more generic because it's just like, oh, well, this stand has fire, this stand has speed. No, they get pretty damn creative just in what I've seen of Part 3 so far, and what I've had, you know, somewhat spoiled to me by playing the All-Star Battle Royale, fucking whatever it's called, video game. I've seen some crazy-ass stand abilities, so the creativity is there, the humor is there, it's just ridiculous and bizarre and epic and fun. There are problems with the story. There are things that it's like, oh, we can shrink our stands if we focus enough. Okay, I bet you're never going to use that again, or why didn't we know you could do that before? So, I mean, there's definitely problems here and there, but you can overlook them because of how fun the series is and how fun the characters are. So, yeah, that's how I feel about JoJo. It's truly awesome. Hopefully, that's a perfect example of a series that once I finish it, or once I get further into the other parts, 4, 5, and 6, it could switch places on this list, but for now it's here. So, yeah. Now for the next one. Number 7. Hajime no Ippo. Oh my god, this series. I didn't mention it when I talked about JoJo, but it was a series that I didn't really want to get into because I thought, oh, these guys look stupid, they have feminine faces, the poses. But I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. Jonathan Joestar was fun to play as in J-Star's Victory Versus, and I was like, okay, watching it. Loved it immediately. Hajime no Ippo is a very similar case. It's also called Fighting Spirit in America, by the way. It's about boxing, and you got the main character, and he's shy and timid, whatever. And I was just kind of like, do I want to get into this series? I was interested because it lasted so long, or it's still going. 1,000 chapters, almost 1,100 probably. And it's been running since the 80s. I'm like, it's about boxing. How good could it possibly be? How can you keep it fresh and exciting? I was wrong, because it does, and it's amazing. I mean, from like the first 2 episodes I was hooked. I wasn't too sure about a shy and timid main character, but Ippo is pretty damn awesome. The supporting characters are really awesome. The people he boxes are not all awesome, but they're cool. They all, most of them at least, have a backstory that, even if they're kind of a dick, you can understand where they're coming from, and you can almost root for the person Ippo is fighting. Not all the characters are invincible. You know, there are going to be losses for characters. I won't spoil who loses what matches or whatever, but, you know, and the matches are just amazing. It's a very realistic series. I mean, not 100% realistic. It's definitely exaggerated. It has a lot of pseudo-type things, but it's very over the top in terms of how the boxing is presented, but there's no superpowers in it. And I wasn't sure how I'd feel about a series like that either, but after watching it, the fights are fucking incredible. Some of my favorite anime fights are from Hajime no Ippo, even though they don't have powers or abilities, which is very, very, very commendable. I'm just kind of surprised myself that I really liked it, considering going in I was like, you know, boxing, not a huge fan of the sport, and that's another thing I gotta say. Even if you're not a fan of boxing, which I'm not, personally, you have to watch Hajime no Ippo. It's just that good. So, yeah, that's Hajime no Ippo. The anime, by the way, is done by Madhouse, the same studio that does Hunter x Hunter. So you're going to be getting very quality animation, even though they made it back in, like, the 2000s, like, early 2000s. There's one anime, there's 2 seconds, you know, there's 2 more seasons after the initial anime, there's an OVA, and there's a TV movie. You want to go, like, first anime, then, I believe, TV movie, OVA, then New Challenger, and then Rising is the order it goes in. I mean, you can do a wiki search if you don't remember what I just said, but yeah, do yourself a favor, watch it / read it. The manga's great too. I like both, but I mainly watched the anime. The 3rd season does cut a few things out from the manga, so if you are, you know, really wanting to get into the series, I would go with the manga for sure, just, you know, to make sure everything is there. So now we will move on to number 6, which is Hunter X fucking Hunter. Hiatus X hiatus, that's right. The series that started this channel. I mean, I was making other videos before, but when my subscribers really went up, when my viewers really went up, and when I really started doing the anime and manga stuff, was Hunter X Hunter, the 2011 anime. And I mean, what is there to say? It doesn't quite reach top 5, obviously, but it's so good. Most of my problems with the series, which I do have problems with it, they are not totally objective problems. They aren't like totally game-breaking flaws. They're mainly things I have a personal problem with, like Gon and Killua constantly getting their asses kicked and stuff like that, and some of the pacing in the Chimera Ant arc. But it is so good. I mean, really great characters, which we don't see enough of. I mean, there are, you know, underdeveloped characters like Leorio and Kurapika, but it's still really entertaining. It's really funny. It's got cool action for what's there. It's a very, very, very enjoyable series. Netero is fucking amazing. I had a good feeling about him from the beginning. You know, I did my, my fucking #1 most viewed videos, Hunter x Hunter video. I don't want to go into spoilers, but it's definitely an unconventional shonen. Like, Yu Yu Hakusho is good. It's an above average shonen. I wouldn't say it's amazing or great. It's good. But Hunter x Hunter is... it has similarities, but it's nowhere near as conventional. It's nowhere near as cliche or troped. Is troped a term? I don't know. I just made it a term. Fuck it. Yeah, I mean, Hunter x Hunter is just... I guess my biggest problem with it is the pacing, but I'm not really here to criticize it. I'm here to talk about why I like it and why it's on my top 10. It's got satisfying moments for sure. It's got twists and turns that I don't see coming. It's, like I said, great characters. The animation in the anime is incredible. Once again, like I said, Madhouse, they did a phenomenal job. One of the few weekly running animes that can look as good, if not better, than some seasonal animes, which is very rare. This is definitely, when it comes to animation, Hunter x Hunter is the exception, not the rule. Like, the animation is just, it's kind of mind-blowing that they were able to make it look as good as they did. So, yeah, that's how I feel about Hunter x Hunter. So I guess we'll move on to number 5. And number 5 is Toriko. I know anything above Hunter x Hunter is probably going to piss people off, that it's not like number 1 or number 2. Toriko. Toriko is a series, again, kind of, it's very fucking ironic. Once again, like JoJo and like Hajime no Ippo, it's a series that I wasn't sure about getting into because it had the food premise and some of the character names. I thought, like, really, there's a dude named Coco, there's a dude named Sunny. Those are a little iffy names. I get very superficial reasons for not getting into it, but once I finally did, and by the way, I like the Toriko anime. Most people hate the Toriko anime. I like it. It's nowhere near as good as the manga, but I do like it. I would recommend both, but mainly the manga. I mainly prefer the manga. I mean, there's just, it's got the blood, it's got the narration, it's got all that stuff. It keeps going, the anime stopped, so read the manga for Toriko. But the anime is good. Maybe read the manga, then give the anime a try. Know that it is censored, though. It is quite censored, and it does not follow the manga all the way through. It does cut itself short and make a few changes. And yeah, it is about food, and I know people say that's a dumb premise. You need food to survive, people. Like, it's so taken for granted. Like, the way they portray food in this series is so well done, you know, with these places that are starving and they need food, and the food in Toriko obviously is supposed to be incredibly delicious, and I mean, the creatures they fight, it's so over the top. Every time a creature shows up, it has some crazy, ridiculous abilities, and its speed, and just comparing it to this pseudoscience that the writer comes up with. And seeing the people fight, you know, when it's Hunter versus Hunter, Gourmet Corp versus, you know, Gourmet Hunters, the 4 Heavenly Kings. It's just so fucking badass, so over the top, so bloody, and so fun to read and watch. The world building is like nothing I've ever seen outside of maybe One Piece, because One Piece has incredible world building. But Toriko's world building is absolutely phenomenal. Rivals One Piece, might even be better. I don't know. I'll be talking about One Piece pretty soon. Spoiler alert, it's on this list somewhere. But yeah, I do prefer the manga over the anime, but I like both. And yeah, and I guess did I mention the characters? The characters are good. I don't really care for Sunny too much because he's the pretty boy character that I don't really like. He likes beauty and shit. Coco's really cool. Zebra's really cool. Toriko is my favorite character in the series. Yeah, that's how I feel about Toriko. So I guess we'll move on to number 4. Rave Master. Now, some people might not have heard of Rave Master. Some people will. If you've heard of Rave Master, then you know what the author is currently writing, and that is Fairy Tail. Don't let that scare you off. Rave Master is very good. It's maybe not his first ever manga, but I think it's his first long-running manga, Hiro Mashima, and it's really good. It's got good characters. It feels like the story went the way he wanted it to go. It felt planned out. It didn't feel like it was super stretched out longer than it needed to be. There's definitely a fair amount of foreshadowing. It's got a scene very late in the series in, like, I believe volume 31 that made me tear up, which was the first time that ever happened for me in a manga. Usually it's anime that does that because, you know, music and everything. But yeah, it's just really cool. It's definitely not mind-blowing or super creative in terms of, like, innovating the genre or anything. It's got a destined hero. It's the dude meets the girl, and then they go on an adventure, and they meet more characters, and, you know, but it's cool to see the art style evolve, actually, because he starts off, like I said, it's a very early manga for him, so his artwork is not the greatest, but as you continue to read it, it gets better, and it's cool to see it change over time, and that's not really nothing to do with the series itself in terms of, like, the content, but it's just something cool, and it's fun and funny, and so many cool moments, and yeah, really, really like it. Love Rave Master. I wish Fairy Tail could be as good. It started off on the path to being better, but Hiro Mashima decided to just, I don't know, friendship up. Just spam friendship. But yeah, now we are coming to the tie, number 3, and why this list has 9, you know, dots instead of 10. The tie is between Avatar: The Last Airbender and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I couldn't decide which one I liked more, which one I liked less, because they're both so fucking good. I'll start off with Full Metal Alchemist. This was a series that I knew was popular, and I knew it had a big, you know, following, and I was like, I'll watch the anime. I watched the original Full Metal Alchemist. That's not on this list, obviously. Brotherhood is, because Brotherhood, it follows the manga, and that's not why I like it better. It's just way fucking better than the original. It's got a better story, better character development, better action. It has action, period. The original had, like, none, which isn't a bad thing, I guess, but it kind of made it look like it would have action. Great character development for all the characters all around. It's got beautiful fucking animation. I haven't read the manga for Full Metal Alchemist yet, but I know Brotherhood follows the manga with a few changes here and there. And yeah, it's about 2 boys who are alchemists, and alchemy in this world is totally over the top crazy. And it's about equivalent exchange. You give something to get something back. You can't make, like, you can make like a spear out of stone with alchemy, but it can't be more stone than you used or less, you know what I mean? It's equal. What happens is their mom dies and they try to bring her back to life, which is forbidden, and one of them loses a leg, the other loses their entire body, which the brother has to then bond his soul to armor, and that costs his arm, so he has a robot arm, robot leg, which is called Automail in the series, and his brother is a big suit of armor, and they have to become state alchemists, and it's got really great comedy, but it also has really, really fucking good drama, really good psychological things that it, you know, touches upon but doesn't go super in-depth with, which is fine. Tons of great characters, tons of just badass, epic fucking moments. I don't really want to go into too many spoilers, but there's a scene with Roy Mustang and a lighter, and if you know what scene I'm talking about, if you've seen the series, you know how fucking epic that was. There's oh my God. I need to make a top 10 badass old guys list next year, because Fuhrer King Bradley, oh, this man he's disgusting. I love the guy. Way better in Brotherhood than in the original series. But yeah, I love Full Metal Alchemist. Not going to go into too many spoilers, but oh my God, and Alex Louis Armstrong, oh God. Too many great characters. I absolutely love it. But what I love equally as much is Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I do count it as an anime. I should have said that a second ago. It's got the art style, it's got a lot of the things anime have, it's clearly influenced by anime. It's just not made in Japan, but it's definitely an anime. An American-made one at that. As far as The Legend of Korra goes, while I do really like The Legend of Korra, and there may have been a place for it on this list somewhere, I kind of just want to lump it with Avatar, kind of, but there's definitely a separation. Like, I definitely would put, like, Hajime no Ippo and Hunter x Hunter above Korra, maybe JoJo as well. Yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't make the list, but I'm mainly putting those two together. By the way, I was going to show that I have Toriko and that I have Rave Master. Now we're on to Avatar. I don't have any Fullmetal Alchemist DVDs. I used to, and then I got rid of them because I was going to replace them with the collections, and I never did that because I'm fucking stupid, I guess. But yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, it's just such a fucking, like, masterpiece. Like, it really is. Like, the characters are so well developed, they're so fun, they're so unique. It tackles certain things in unique ways that you wouldn't expect. Very little of the series is like filler or one-off episodes. It's got a lot of characters that will come back into play. It's clever, it's well animated, the action is very inventive and cool, the bending of the elements. The setup for the story is actually really cool. You have the Avatar, who's an airbender. There's air, water, fire, and earth. They go through the cycles. I'm sure most people have seen the series, especially if you've seen my Korra videos. You probably have seen the original. And what happens is the Fire Nation decides, well, we're just going to fucking wage war because we think we're badass. And you get to see the depth behind that as well later on. But they start to invade. They got the current Avatar, which is an airbender. And I'm not say how, but he gets frozen in water during a storm. And he wakes up 100 years later. And it's been 100 years, and the war is still happening, and he's a fish out of water to a certain extent, but they don't play that up too much. It's not too cliche in that aspect. And he has to master all the elements within a limited amount of time, and it's just really cool. It's cool seeing him actually learn how to use them, even though he's a natural at water, but it takes him some time to learn the others, and it shows the dangers of these different elements. I love seeing the fodder. Like, I know usually I don't say I love seeing the fodder, but it's cool seeing the soldiers and the people who are part of the Fire Nation. They aren't all a bunch of evil people. I like you seeing the depth there. And for a series that aired on Nickelodeon, they let it get away with quite a bit. There's no blood, really, but there's plenty of really cool moments of just, oh my god, that character just, like, die, like, on Nickelodeon. Just really well written, great world building, great creature design. At first with the series, it's, you know, they'll say, here's a penguin, and it looks nothing like, I mean, it looks kind of like a penguin, but not really. And then later on in the series, they start doing combination animals, really, really creative ones, and they even make gags about it. Just fucking amazing comedy, amazing series. I absolutely love Avatar: The Last Airbender. As I'm talking about it, I kind of want to put it above Fullmetal Alchemist, but then I think about Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'm like, oh my fuck, so tie right there. Today, I put Avatar above it, but tomorrow the answer could be different. Now, number 2, Dragon Ball, which means you know what number 1 is, and I think I've said what number 1 is in previous videos, but Dragon Ball, honestly, and I'm going to sound really weird for saying this, one of the most underrated stories ever written. A lot of people are going to say, what the fuck are you talking about? Everyone's heard of Dragon Ball, everyone loves Dragon Ball, people love it, it was on Toonami, nostalgia, all that crap. It's got the praise it deserves. It's popular. It's got, you know, it's like, oh, it's amazing. It's a great series. People say that, but for the wrong reasons. No one looks at Dragon Ball for its amazing storytelling, its amazing just plot and character depth. It has that. Like, a lot of people say, after you get past the Dragon Ball portion, and by the way, I'm counting Dragon Ball all the way through Z. The manga was just called Dragon Ball. And I'm basically pointing out the manga. The animes makes too many changes, too much filler. Kai is good, but it's not perfect. I mean, Kai is amazing, but it's still not the manga. The manga is the best version of the series by far. And with Dragon Ball, the story is so fucking good, and it has so many plot twists, and the character development, and there are certain complexities. It's not the most creative, it's not the most complex, it has cliches here and there, but it's got so much more to it than people give it credit for. People are like, oh, it's just action after you get past Dragon Ball. No, there's arguably more plot and more story and more character revelations after you get past Dragon Ball and get into the Z portion of the series. So, I mean, people really just... I guess it's familiarity. You're just so familiar with the series that a lot of the plot twists are just like... I don't want to say second nature, but they're like the back of your hand. It's just like... You don't think about what a huge twist it is that Goku... I mean, I can say a few spoilers about Dragon Ball. It's not that big of a twist to you that Goku is a Saiyan because you're so familiar with it. But it is a huge twist that he's from another planet. There are other huge twists in the story. It's got really good foreshadowing. For a series that wasn't written... how do I want to say? For a series that wasn't written completely 100% planned out, and he kind of had to, like, continue writing and keep extending it, it's fucking phenomenal. Like, it continues perfectly. It never feels forced. It never feels like it was elongated and made longer just for money, at least not to me. It's just fantastic. It has the popularity it deserves for the wrong reasons. It's not just the action. It's not just because it's badass. It's because it's a really fucking good story with really good characters that ended on a really good note. And it inspired so many series to come. And yeah, I just absolutely love it. I don't need to explain what Dragon Ball's about. Everyone knows. So yeah, now we'll move on to number 1. And number 1 is obviously... Take a look at that picture. That is my bed covered in One Piece. One Piece is just fucking amazing. Like, there is no other way to describe this series right here. I just wanted to find one of my DVDs that had a really cool cover on it. And here is the first 3 volumes in one. One Piece is just fucking... Honestly, I'd probably argue to say it's probably the best running shonen manga right now. Not that genre, in that demographic. Because it's got such incredible world building, incredible characters, an unpredictable plot line that's really good and really complex, and there's so many characters and they're all so creative and so different. So many imaginative abilities and abilities that you think would be lame, but then they're used in such versatile ways, which I already mentioned I love when that kind of thing happens. It's just... It's One Piece. Like, everything supports everything in One Piece. Like, the things that these characters do is really cool, and those things are made even cooler because the characters are really cool, and the reason why this story arc is so interesting and so cool is because these characters that I'm really interested in are a part of it. It mainly stems back to characters, but you like the characters because of the things they do, and the things they do are cool because they're those characters, and it's kind of hard to describe, but everything about One Piece is just so good, and it's so well planned out, and there's so much foreshadowing. You'll meet a character in Chapter 1, and they'll be gone by Chapter 6 or Episode 3, and then they'll come back 300 episodes later. Boom, there they are, and it's like, holy crap, you get to see them again, and they've changed, and you don't expect it. Some characters you think you're not ever going to see them again, and then they become really important. Oda is just a master at foreshadowing, and is just so many creative abilities, not even just devil fruit abilities, but just amazing, like, things characters learn how to do, like the 6 powers that the CP9 characters have. And if you're not reading One Piece or watching One Piece, you've got to do it. The anime and the manga are fucking amazing. People give the anime shit. I don't know, I do know why. It's misconception and all that, but the manga is better paced than the anime overall, because a lot of weekly anime have to make a lot of filler and slow down the pacing. And yeah, but I would still recommend the anime. They're both incredible. The music, all that. I don't really think I need to go into the plot of One Piece too much. Most people have heard of it. Do not let the art style of the series like scare you away. I mean, I personally think judging a series based on its art, or not wanting to read a series because of its art, or putting art above story, I think that's really fucking stupid. Yes, a manga needs good art, but I mean, if Hunter x Hunter can get away with what it does, then you can fucking read One Piece. One Piece's artwork is the only artwork. It's the only art style for One Piece. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the most incredible art I've ever seen. It's sometimes Oda's art is a little sloppy, but in terms of just the series of One Piece and the characters and the world, I can't imagine it looking any other way than what it looks like. No, you can't have Kubo, who does Bleach, he can't draw One Piece. It would not work. It wouldn't have, the humor would not work. The characters, how they look in Oda's art style would not work in another art style. They would look probably even stupider than they already look. But yeah, as much humor as it has, and as much wacky characters as it has, it knows when to get serious, it knows when to have the hardcore emotion. I have teared up watching the anime. Reading the manga, not really, but yeah. It's One Piece. I don't want to go on forever about it. Most people do already read it. Most people already love it. But if you haven't read it, you have to fucking read it. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not. It is not the #1 most popular manga series of all time in Japan for nothing. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up my list. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'll probably do some editing. I had to totally cut and just stop recording for a second and get some water because of all the talking I've been doing. So we'll see how the editing goes, and yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys agree with my list. I hope you guys have your own lists to put in the comments section down below. And it is my list, of course. You know, there's going to be differences between what you would put there, so, you know, don't get too mad or whatever. But this is my personal list for my top 10. What's yours? I would love if I could see some lists down below, have some discussion about, you know, different anime and manga. That's what this channel is for. This video should be going up on Christmas Eve. I think on either Christmas Day, yeah, definitely Christmas Day. Me and my friends should be doing our first podcast-ish vlog type thing where we kind of just sit down and talk about a few subjects at once, whether it be something that's going on in the news, some anime, a movie. We might do a movie review within that, you know, if we're, you know, doing that. That should go up on Christmas. I know people are going to be with their family and opening presents, but you know, watch it the day after Christmas, whatevs. But yeah, it will be coming out. It's our first one, so if it's not great, I apologize. It'll get better. It's a test run, you know, prototype, whatever you want to call it. The beta, the fucking Pet Platypus podcast beta TM. No, but yeah, so that's my video. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you guys thought of it. Tell me what you guys think of my list. Tell me your own list in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.